Hey there, what is up, and welcome to the GG replay for June 21st, 2021. I am Paul, and I am joined, as always, by Matt. We are here for GG replay, hosted by the Goodnight Groofs, a place for games and a place for goofs. So workshop in that one there. And it is a Monday, Wednesday, Friday show where we break down the latest in gaming news. How you doing today, Matt?
I'm good. It feels like it's been forever that we've done this. I mean, the first week we had three right away, and now we had a weekend
Yeah,
apart. So it feels like it's been a while. It's good to be
I
back at
know.
this.
I feel like I miss you, and you know, our recording schedule was a little funky off last week, so trying to like balance everything and batching some. So yeah, so it's really exciting to be here and to be putting out a late edition of the GG replay, but it's still Monday, so
Still
here
Monday.
you go. I hope everyone had a fantastic week and weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed E3. We certainly did. But you know, that's a mixed bag. I think a lot of people have different feelings about how E3 went. Matt, if you had to discuss how you're feeling about how E3 went, maybe do an out of 10. 10 being best E3 you've ever seen,
Oh
one
wow.
being sucked.
Um. So I think like 2018 is one of the better ones I've seen. That was a 10, and this is probably like I'm gonna give it like a 5 because I think it
Yeah.
was as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
But when you have companies doing showcases that don't have any games in them, and you have Sony not there, and it's as good as it could have been. Like Nintendo's show was pretty good. Obviously, like
Yeah.
we didn't get a ton of surprises outside of like Metroid Dread. Like there wasn't any big time surprises. Um, and with Xbox and Bethesda, there weren't really surprises, uh, but
Yeah.
it was good stuff, for the most part. So I think it was as good as it could have been, which is to say, in the lower tier of E3s.
Yeah, I would agree. I think five is the kind of where I was thinking too. There's obviously some interesting stuff, some cool stuff that came out, but really, I mean, COVID was there, and so that delayed a lot of
Yeah,
productions, and you know the chip shortage, and messing with all of the new consoles even being able to be taken up. So we had, it was a rough year anyway, and I think a lot of companies and things are shifting development, especially as you see like Microsoft and Sony racing to buy every studio that ever existed. You're definitely seeing things get shifted around a little bit as we line up what really is going to be the lineup for Xbox Series consoles and the PlayStation 5 consoles.
this will be
Yes,
remembered as the COVID hangover E3, and
yes,
I think there's potential for next year's E3 to be just massive because all
I think
that
so, yeah.
stuff that maybe wanted developers and publishers wanted to announce this year, but it just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot next year.
I think next year we're very likely to see some real stuff from the games that are going to define the generation or the beginning of this console generation.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my hot take. It's a very lukewarm take. Speaking of consoles that were from last generation, although I feel like kind of spilling into this generation,
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch. I reported a story, or was it Video Game Chronicle reported a story that I followed up on Friday, talking about Nintendo Switch owners, a lot of Nintendo Switch owners being unable to download any games or updates for over a week. Big problem there. Nintendo was supposed to have fixed it just days after that initially happened, but they hadn't, and people were still out in the cold. It seemed to be throwing up an error that everyone was getting. Just an update on that quickly. Apparently, Nintendo Life and some others that I've seen tweeting saying that there was a firmware update last night, which is to say, like kind of midnight, June 21st. And that seems to have fixed the error that was causing the download thing. It was a server-side update from Nintendo's side. So just kind of reporting that. I feel like not enough people were talking about that, and it seems to be a real issue for those trying to enjoy their Switch. Uh, as well they still can before the Switch Pro demolishes them in 2025. Uh, how do you feel about that, Matt? I wanted to ask you that because I mentioned it in the article. Wanted to, but by the way, if anyone wants to check out the article or check out any of our other content, feel free to go on to goodnightgroofs.com. We have a whole blog. So if you're just watching us on YouTube or listening to us in your RSS feed, feel free to check it out. But yeah, Matt, that said, how do you feel about that? How do we feel about a game company taking a whole week to properly respond to a widespread issue where gamers were unable to download or stream or do anything on their console, even updates, in 2021? Um, I feel like
Uh,
if Sony or Microsoft did this, this would be a bigger deal. Xbox Live goes down for like 3 hours and people are raging in the street.
yeah. I mean, this is very Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, this is not out of character to just be
I
out
know where
of
I'm getting at
touch.
there.
To just, be out of touch and um I mean, you look at the whole issue with the Joy-Cons, the
Yeah.
Joy-Con drift and all that, and with E3, Nintendo saying don't co-stream. It's like
Yeah.
I they just don't get some things, and it's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, for them to take a week, I hadn't even heard of this until I saw the Reddit post about it. Like, it wasn't
Same.
even news. It was just someone's just like, yeah, by the way, there's a lot of Nintendo Switch users who haven't been able to download new games or updates.
Yeah.
And it's like, how has this been going on this long? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously years ago you had the PlayStation Network was down for like a month, but like
Yeah.
this is, that was an attack. This is
Yeah.
this is a little bit different. I think this is just
It
some.
seems like an update that they were able to push on the server side pretty easily. I mean, I don't mean to speak out of turn for the people having to deal with those networking issues, but it seems like something that they were just kind of slow to respond to because it fell to the wayside.
Yeah, I mean, you have to assume it was easy since they fixed it as soon as it became a real issue, right?
Yeah.
So,
As soon as it became known about and people
right,
started actually talking about it, um,
right.
yeah, I think it really just goes to show more about, and I don't want mean to talk out of turn too much, but I feel like it goes to show Nintendo and their whole attitude towards online. They just seem to not really get it, and I feel like that's still the case even now with the Switch. They don't quite get it. They were talking about all the new Mario Party things, and they were really bragging about, hey, you can play every course on Mario Party or every game type online with
Wow,
your friends, and it was like
wow.
everyone was actually like, oh my God, it's amazing because you can actually do that. That shouldn't be news, shouldn't be exciting. It should just be how the game works, how every game works. It's been how every game works for like 10 years. Um, so I just feel like if Nintendo has an issue with online, it's not their first priority because it's not their first priority. Issues or not.
I love Nintendo, but sometimes they're just so behind the times, and then other times it's like they develop Breath of the Wild, which is a genre-defining
Hmm.
game that you see copycats coming up all the time now. Like they'll do those things, and then they'll turn around and they'll do something like this, or
Yeah, and I mean this is like an actual negative, obviously. Like this is there's no good spin on this, but I mean there is the argument about online and about their focuses, and I mean you could say that they're doing stuff behind or stuff, but it's really stuff differently, I think, and blazing their own trail a lot of the time. Stuff like the Wii, even stuff like the Wii U, the Switch. I mean these aren't going to be able to deliver the experiences we're used to delivering all the time. And a lot of games won't work on the Switch or won't be as good on the Wii U as they would have been on a PlayStation or Xbox or PC. But the things that really do knock it out of the park and really take advantage of that hardware is really awesome.
you
And
know.
so I think,
Sorry.
yeah.
What's
Go ahead,
weird?
go.
What's weird is that they're ahead in some respects too, in the fact that they're some games they have streaming to the Switch, like
Right.
specifically in Japan they have more titles that do it, but in North America I think Hitman 3 is the latest big game where you could, obviously it can't run natively on the Switch, but it
Right.
can run through streaming, which I have heard mixed things, with delayed inputs and
Yeah.
stuff like that, um, but the fact that that exists while they also have the weirdest online network, it just it's strange. It's strange. Nintendo is very inconsistent about things like that,
Yeah.
um, and I guess like there are negatives, but it's also part of the weird Nintendo charm and allure in a way.
Yeah,
There's something about it that's just like, oh yeah, that's Nintendo. It's whatever.
exactly. Something that Sony themselves does not get away with. And Sony this week registered a new trademark for PSX. That is Papa Sierra X-Ray. Everyone is not just letting it go to the wayside. Everyone's very excited in this week with no gaming news to just nitpick the ever-loving shit out of this. Do you want to give us a rundown? As far as I am concerned with PSX, I recall the PSX wording being used to describe PlayStation 1 stuff. Does that sound like anything? I remember that was a big thing for a while.
Yeah, so that was
Where,
like a retroactive renaming
yeah,
of the original PlayStation, I believe.
yeah.
But PSX had also been sort of the abbreviation for the PlayStation Experience event, which, you know, it was first held in 2002 in England. They did it again the next year, and then it wasn't until 2014 that they brought it back, revived it. They did it annually every year until
Mhm.
2018, and then we haven't seen it since then. But it sounds like with a new trademark for PSX, which, like I said, was the informal name previously, they might be looking to return to this event in some form, maybe digitally only,
So
who knows?
So PlayStation Experience, just correct me if I'm wrong. This is like, can you explain what this is to me a little bit? Because what I'm imagining is those weird setups in the mall where they have the PlayStation VR and you put your sweaty face on it after someone else's sweaty face goes on it, and like pretend you're getting attacked by a
Right.
shark in front of people just going to McDonald's and American Eagle.
Right.
Do you mind telling me it's not that, right? It's a different
No,
thing.
it was like a convention for PlayStation basically,
I get you.
with a
I get you.
big showcase, usually to be like the main thing that came out of it.
Okay.
Like PSX was the first place I'm pretty sure that Last of Us Part Two was
Okay.
revealed, in maybe like 2016 or 2015 or something like that. You know
See,
when.
that's kind of cool because that's since Sony really seems to be stepping away from E3, it
Hmm.
seems like maybe is that what people are thinking that they're going to be kind of moving towards something like this, and this might be a rebrand of their own big conference thing.
I think that's the idea.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be, well, it's weird because they also have the PlayStation. Is it called the? It's called the PlayStation Direct. Is it the? No, wait. What's the name? It's a
Nintendo Direct. I don't know the
no. What's
PlayStation.
it called? I'm having a
Oh,
brain
it's the
fart.
PlayStation Treehouse.
No, that's Jesus Christ. What is it called? Place
World
so
exclusive.
Direct is this is the store. That's the name of their store. What is God damn it? What is it called?
It's something weird. I think I know what you're talking about, but
PlayStation
Googling
Showcase.
live on the GG replay
Yep,
is what it is here.
Horizon.
GG stands
It
for
was
Google.
Horizon Forbidden West was the recent thing that they did. What the hell was that thing called? State of Play. It's yeah, State
Yes,
of Play.
it's a pretty cool name too to forget.
Okay,
I like it.
brain fart there. Okay, so yeah, what's weird is that this PSX thing, if it is digital only,
Hmm.
seems like it's just like an extended State of Play maybe, or like a collection of State of Plays. I don't really know.
Yeah.
So, if it is digital only, that's what it sounds like it would be. I would love for it to be the in-person big show again. That would be really cool. I would love to get to go to something like this in the future. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it's going to be, I'm excited that it's coming back in whatever form that might be. And yeah, like you said, with Sony not going to E3 anymore, it seems like they might just be done with that and doing their own thing, which is fine.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to be they're maybe the first ones to kind of do that. I don't think they're going to be the last. So
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, Nintendo already was kind of the first one to take away. They do it during
yeah,
E3 because
the
they want that
directs.
hype, but I mean, they're doing their own show and things like that. And they have Summer Game Fest, they kind of bifurcating. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Speaking of things, we were just talking about something that Sony just got a new trademark, something that Sony might be losing at least the exclusivity to. Listing for Final Fantasy VII Remake was found on the Epic Game Store database. Currently, the game is exclusive to PlayStation. However, could we be seeing it on the Epic Game Store? Probably. Is it going to be PC exclusive to the Epic Game Store? That is a great question. What do you think, Matt? As someone, I feel like you're a good person to talk to about this as someone who I think is pretty platform agnostic when it comes to PC gaming. In fact, I think you have some pretty strong opinions about people who are heavily into specific stores on PC. What are your feelings about not only the game leaving PlayStation, but also possible exclusivity?
I'm not going to get too much into that. But what I will say is that I don't have like I don't care what launcher my games are using. I don't like having these individual launches for games. But if I have Steam, if I have Epic Games Store, if I have Ubisoft's you connect, whatever the hell they're calling it these days.
Oh, Galaxy. We're getting a lot, but we're getting
EA
there.
Play, like Xbox Game Pass for PC. Like, okay, that's a decent. That's a lot of stores,
Sound like a lot.
but at least they're places where I can have these collections of games, right? So yeah, that's not a huge issue for me. Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to PC as an Epic Games Store exclusive is not super surprising if that's what happens. We know that Sony and Epic have sort of been in bed with each other on the different things. Maybe it's a timed exclusive. It would be a little shocking if it's exclusive forever to the Epic Game Store, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's a timed exclusive and then coming to Steam some point later on. But I mean, the fact that it would be coming to PC at all is interesting. It shows that Sony's doing more with bringing games to PC.
Maybe with a partner like Epic or something like that, it might make them more enticed to be bringing things to PC. Possibly that could be the impetus.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure a big part of it is Epic paying those sweet dollars for
sure.
for
They have them.
Not only to bring it to PC, but for exclusivity, whether timed or forever. And yeah, like you said, Epic has money to throw around, so this whole thing is completely unsurprising. But I will say it's nice to see more PlayStation exclusives coming to PC. I want PC players to be able to play these awesome games. I don't want them to just be stuck on the PlayStation.
Yep, I absolutely agree.
So it's a good thing.
And just a little PSA, thank you so much to all of you out there who bought the new Harley Quinn skin. Because of you, we're getting Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, Fortnite players.
Peely skins and battle passes. You might be bringing us something better on the horizon, which is great. Speaking of big successes and lots of money, It Takes Two has officially sold 2 million copies. I have not been following It Takes Two super a lot, if that's a phrase that anyone would ever say. But I know, Matt, that you have been trying to get me to play it with you for a while. Thoughts, feelings?
So the game that I've been wanting to play with you is A Way Out.
It's A Way Out. It Takes Two is okay. So,
but yeah, A Way Out is their first game. It Takes Two is the follow up.
Gotcha.
It Takes Two is a game that I haven't started yet, but I really, really want to.
Oh yeah, this adorable looking thing. Yeah.
I want to play with the wife, but since I just got the PS5, it got a little complicated. Now I need to buy another DualSense at some point. I only have the one right now, and then
$80 later.
Then we can play. Yeah, $80 plus $70 for the game. It's
a
little complicated because of that right now. But I'm happy for Joseph Fares. He's just an awesome guy in the industry. Paul, if you're not familiar, he's the crazy guy who at Game Awards a few years ago just said, "Fuck the Oscars."
Yes, definitely remember that.
Just the crazy dude. Hazelight Studios, his development company. Like I said, A Way Out was their first game, which at this point has sold 3.5 million copies. So that was a success. A small game like that to sell 3.5 million copies, that's a success. It Takes Two, like you said, has already sold 2 million, so it's well on its way to beating that.
That's amazing.
The big question now.
That just came out recently, right?
February sometime, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it hasn't been out too long. Maybe March, April, something like that.
June. I don't know.
The big question now is, EA published both of these Hazelight games. Now, they were both successes. Is EA going to try to just outright purchase Hazelight Studios? On one hand,
no.
On one hand, giving Joseph Fares a larger budget to do what he really wants to do and really get his vision with a large budget sounds really intriguing. But on the other hand, does he lose creative control a little bit with EA in the pocket?
A way out too, where second player, the ability to play with a second player is a microtransaction,
Yeah.
or you have to spend 50,000 hours playing as the first player to unlock second player.
So here's the crazy thing about these games too. They're EA published games, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but only one person has to own the game. You can play with the other person across the world.
That is very cool.
Only one person has to own it. That you get a friend pass or something like that they can download. So EA gets a lot of shit, but that is a really cool thing that they did for these games. And I wonder if that was
they didn't
just
necessarily do it, I guess, right? But I mean, they let it happen, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
right. I'm sure it wasn't their idea. I'm sure Joseph Fares
Yeah.
fought for it, but they did publish the game, so they have probably final say on something like that.
That's cool.
So they did allow that to happen. Really curious to see what happens with Hazelight though, because it's very clear that they've been a success, and they've been good for EA, and is EA going to buy them and be good back to them? I don't know. We'll see. But it's an exciting story to follow here.
I doubt it, but just based on. But that's my 2 cents. We'll see. But you know what? We'll see them in the EA Play launcher. And well, I think they're probably already there. So I don't know. I was trying to make a joke. It's fine. Moving on. Games that are successful, making a lot of money, talking about it. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Who would have known that they're selling a lot of copies of this game? But something we may not have guessed. They actually sold more copies in the second week than they did in the first week. Now, I don't know if we're specifically talking about like how pre-sales fill into that. Like if someone
That's a good question.
what am I? Yeah, pre-bought the game. What am I trying to say with that?
Pre-ordered?
Pre-ordered, yes. Pre-ordered the game. Does that count as first week sales? Is that in a different metric?
I think that's first.
That,
Yeah, I think that's day one sales.
so that to me is interesting to see week two in that scenario, because I mean obviously it's interesting anyway, but you're also getting that huge bump from a game that I think a lot of people. I mean, the reviews came out before the game was even out. They were so confident. They were fine about it. And people were just lauding it everywhere. So, I mean, it's pretty surprising. A lot of games you might see week two and be like, okay, well, people wanted to wait and see how the game shook out. But it's interesting for Ratchet and Clank. I know you're playing it and going through it right now, Matt. How are you feeling about that?
Well, I'm loving the game. I'm 6 or 7 hours in. So, from what I understand, I'm actually pretty far and I don't have a whole lot left. What I've been told is that it's actually shorter than you might expect. But I definitely want to. This is a game that I'm going to platinum, and probably won't take too much longer, because of my schedule. I haven't been able to play a whole lot, but I'm excited to get back in soon. One note. Now, this is in the UK only, where they sold more in week 2 than week 1, but I think it's fair to probably extrapolate it out. I think what's happening in the UK, for the most part, not in every case, but sales wise, usually you can attribute to the other parts of the world as well.
Especially in this case, I feel like.
Especially for a game like this, yeah. The reason being, the speculation is that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart in its second week, starting on Monday, was being bundled with PlayStation 5 consoles, both officially through official bundles and unofficially, because some retailers, what they've been doing is they're bundling games informally with the PS5 because they know it's going to sell out instantly regardless, so they can jack the prices up a little bit just by bundling some things in there. So that's a big reason why, probably why it sold more in week 2 than week 1. But that is a really rare thing.
Yeah.
But if you wanted an explanation, it's because these bundles most likely. But it's a great game. I'm glad that it's doing well. It deserves it. Insomniac deserves it. And
Absolutely.
yeah, it's really fun. I'm having a great time.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear it. Not glad to hear that retailers are trying to bundle in games so that they can jack up the prices of the PS5, which are already hard to find. So you say, hey, we actually have a few, but we're only going to sell them to you with a game that you may or may not want and jack the price up. But what are you going to do? That is what we're living in with our chip shortages and all of our weird gaming retailers, and GameStop still existing, I tell you.
Look,
All right.
the best way to get a PS5, if you want a PS5, look, I'm looking right
Yes.
at the camera right now.
Okay.
If you want a PS5, do what I did. Okay, get it through Sony Direct. I think that's
Live
probably
in the United States. That's the
you
only place
live
can
in the
do it.
United. Okay, if you're
I
living in
can't see
the
this.
if you're I didn't actually know that. If you're living
Yeah,
in the
we can't buy
United
it yet.
States, go through Sony Direct. Okay, Sony PlayStation Direct. Get in the queue in as many possible browsers as you can. All right.
Phones, tablets,
Phones,
wife's
tab,
tablet, whatever
exactly.
you
Yeah,
can do.
that's what I did. Okay, it's probably not going to work the first time. Maybe not the second time. Eventually, you're gonna get in. You're gonna get your chance to buy it, and then you'll be good to go. Follow Matt Swider on Twitter. Set your alerts on. He'll let you know ahead of time when it's about to drop. All right. So that's how you get a PlayStation
Great tip.
5.
It's a great tip. Yeah, unfortunately, us in Canada here do not have that option. We are stuck with third-party retailers for almost all our consoles, which is a bummer. But that being said, there's deals. Things come up. If there's any fellow Canadians out there, we will persevere and we will get PS5s. That has been it for the GG replay today for June 21st, 2021. We are going to be hopefully recording some super secret new podcast stuff later on today or the next couple days. So you may or may not be seeing that coming up on our website, possibly on our YouTube channel here. If it's not this week, it'll be next week. So get excited. There's new content. There's more stuff coming. If you want more of us just shooting the crap and hanging out, I don't like that. It sounds so much worse. Feel free to stick around, and we'll have a lot more fun and maybe play some games. I don't know. Are you 5 years old? Are you interested? Thank you so much, and have a great day.
I don't even know what that ending was. Adios.